pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jamie Kendall,
Present.
Darcy McSwain,
Present.
Paul Jenderski,
Here.
Edgar Tinoff,
Present.
Michael Nesbitt,
Present.
Kathy Harris,
Present.
and Lois Tiley is absent.
Approval adjustments to our agenda.
I'd like to add under new business letter F, planning commission appointment.
Okay. Any announcements, public comment?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Oh, my bad.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Announcement, public comment?
Pretty quiet.
Spicer?
Good evening. I believe everyone got a copy of the engineer's report I sent Hart. I also dropped off a couple maps. Big map is the progress map on the phase one project, and so far I think everything's moving along pretty good. If you remember back in May, we started at the West Alley, and then the first segment of water main we installed was from the West Alley on 52 down to Lake Street. That has passed, it is in service right now. All services have been disconnected from the old main, tied into the new main. We replaced quite a few lead and galvanized services in that area specifically. The section of main from Lake to Hanchett Street passed pressure test last week. Right now, we're waiting on our second set of samples. Air Construction has installed from Hanchett almost all the way to the curve as of today. They should wrap that up tomorrow. Their plan is to drop back and complete water services on that green section of water main you see on the
Yeah,
map.
what's up with that? It says water main installed, the other one says water main installed and in service, that isn't in service?
Nope, it's not in service. It hasn't passed all the back T sampling and stuff that we're waiting on from the city right now. So tomorrow they should wrap up at the south end of that project. We can't do our connection until that orange segment of water main is passed, all testing. But they are going to drop back and do services on the new main, so once that's passed, it'll turn blue essentially. So with the services, there's quite a few they have to do on that segment, so it may seem like we made quite a bit of progress to date, but getting the pipe in the ground is only part of it.
People got water though?
Yeah, everyone's got water.
Yeah.
It's dropping back and switching from that old water main to the new water main, and then getting the old water main abandoned. So I know their plan right now, they're waiting to hear back on their concrete subcontractor. He was supposed to get in the end of this week. I'm presuming the weather is gonna push him back now to start repouring sidewalk, get the driveways restored so they can get topsoil on this north segment of Bell. So, once they complete all the work out here, I believe their next move is gonna be towards Clinton. July 3rd, they couldn't work out on 52, so they ended up on Charles Street, and they got all that water main installed kind of right around that 4th of July week. It was a goofy week, so all that's done, it's in the ground, just waiting to get kind of to the point where we can do our connections and pressure testing and get that into service. So far, so good. I think they're doing a pretty good job communicating with residents. I don't know, have you guys been receiving a lot of complaints?
No, the first day there was a couple, but we've put a letter together and started knocking more doors and making sure, because sometimes it looked like they weren't part of the segment, so we didn't knock their door thinking they were good, and it turns out they are on that main. Back in the sixties, they connected off of Charles at some point, I'm guessing when they wanted to stay off
Yeah.
M52 right away, so they went backways, so, since then, we've really done a better job of that. and haven't
Definitely
had
found a
any-
couple unknowns out there, that's for sure. But all in all, I think it's moving along pretty good. If we remember, I didn't print their schedule off and bring it, but they anticipated being out there for 17 weeks, and I think we're at week 7. So,
The only complaint I really heard was cutting up somebody's driveway, and you're replacing it with tarby or something. You don't replace it with concrete, if you tore concrete up?
if we tore concrete up, it's going concrete back. Right now, it's probably stone, but
Oh, maybe that's
until
what it
we
was.
get everything abandoned and taken care of on that old main, they're not gonna go back and they, like I said, right now they're stone. We've really been pushing Rob to get the concrete guys out here to start that restoration process, so we can, I mean, it's, you can start to see a few weeds growing, and it just needs to get done, so. Any questions on our phase 1 project?
I have a question, honey.
Yes.
So all this yellow here on the map is replacement that still has to be done?
Yes.
Okay.
Yellow is replacement that has to be done, red is replacement and road work, green is water main installed, blue is water main new water main in service, and then the orange there, same thing on Bell, is water main that still has to be installed, but all that should be green. They've gotten all that done this week so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the blue section's basically from 1940s and 1966 is now 2023.
Like I said, we did replace quite a few lead and galvanized services in that first, I think we did 18 of them. So that's great, I mean, that's good for the village's lead sampling they have to do to meet EGLE requirements. So, it's definitely making progress on it, and it's gonna continue. I mean, they put in 300 feet of pipe today, is that what the email said?
350.
350, so they're moving along.
I think as far as 52 goes, they have like 150, 160 feet
Yeah.
of pipe to go. But I think the installations of those service lines on Hanchin are gonna take anywhere from 2 to
Yeah, probably
2 to 4 weeks.
of services.
There's a lot of lines that have to be reconnected.
We completed, CAPE grant, submitted that to MDOT, we don't have high hopes on it, do we, Harv?
No, but
it's-
I need to talk to you, we need to go over sidewalks, for that. Had a recent meeting with
On Walnut
Safe
Street,
Routes
yep.
to School, we're gonna go after Walnut, Maple, and the connection on Ithaca if we can. The pot of money for that has gone up to $300,000 per school,
Awesome.
and the person from Safe Routes said, go after everything, and you said it's not necessarily like 300, if you're close or in the ballpark, we'll probably fund that.
Yep.
There is extra funding, so we'll see if we can connect the apartment on Ithaca to the school, see if we can redo all of Maple and redo Walnut like we had submitted. And then the other thing we need to work on, is the kayak and boat drop-off. We gotta figure out the most
Okay.
feasible and engineer it, where, maybe it's a one-way in down where the sandbox, or the sand is. I think there's some trees and then there's an entrance, where maybe people can come in, drop their kayak, or pull in, back up their trailer, put their boat in, and then come in, and like a marina, have some parking there.
Mhm.
We'll have to, I mean, that's
Sit
gonna be
down
where
and
you
talk
guys,
about it.
yeah, that's where you guys' expertise comes in, but, that's the next phase of that, I think.
Awesome. So, yeah, we'll wait and hear on the CAPE grant, obviously. The nice thing about that is we submitted the application, and next year when the funding comes out, we resubmit the application. So it's, it's, if we don't get it, I mean, it
We ain't
wasn't,
gonna be any farther behind or ahead, whatever, if they say no.
right, I mean, that's
Yes,
what
you
we
do
were
that.
kinda like, is it, what if no one
we
submits,
gonna be any
it's highly unlikely,
Farther
but,
behind if they say no, no.
so,
Yeah, just
No.
ask.
But we need to at least get the plans together on some of that,
yeah.
and it looks better when we go after Safe Routes if we have a
Oh,
Cat B and,
It'll look great when we pair it with, you paired 2 projects, I mean, that was one of the big selling points on the CAPE grant we received last year, was we were pairing it with the water project, so.
only other thing I would say, the, water tower painting, they're on their second coat of, epoxy. Blue, and they have 2 more coats to go before the color and the logo go on, but they're hoping to get up this week.
What are they doing for a logo?
The village logo, so if you, outside these doors when you leave, that are on both sides of those, we're gonna do that.
Well, somebody else said something stupid, but I'm not gonna
Oh.
repeat who said it, whatever, but,
I shared it in the email, I'll see if I have it.
is it the Shiawassee Flat with the ducks?
It's the circle with the ducks, and then
Yeah.
that's the Village of St. Charles
I got a
logo.
wood plaque, I don't bring it up here, I don't do nothing with it. Somebody, I can remember, you don't remember Boswell's, with Boswell's, and somehow I got a hold of it. I'll bring it up here.
Mitch, I'm just curious, I was just wondering, why did you start on? Never mind.
West Alley.
Yeah, and then cross over and went on the other side.
So we started at the West Alley because we had to abandon that section of water main at the light because there was a leak in valve.
Okay.
So we started there, and then as we went down, we crossed the road because the sanitary sewer ended up being on the same side of the road as the water. And we need our 10 foot of separation from, between water and sanitary. That's just an Eagle requirement, so we jumped over to the other side and
Okay.
ran it
I
down
figured there
that
was a
one.
reason, I just wondered.
So that's,
Damn, Mitchell, I thought it was cause I live down there.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Ed planted
got
some
that
nice
plant.
flowers, we
Yeah,
wanted
that
a long
would
trail.
Really cool.
Did it just
and
for
they're,
that,
they
didn't
tried
you?
to match up that gray and that maroon that's on all our stuff to close as possible, so in
The one I
future
got,
years,
says Gateway to the Shiawassee Flats.
like underneath,
Yeah.
and
So who's gonna do that then?
same company.
Cinco?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they've been moving along pretty well. Rumor has it that the president is going up to put the last dot of paint on there. I've heard.
Any questions?
Oh, I thought maybe the mail.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mitchell.
Mitch.
Thank you, guys.
If that's the case, I don't wanna be out here when you find that.
We need-
Yeah, me
If
too.
that happens, we need pictures, lots of. Some may be frozen up top there, I don't know if I'll be able to even hold my phone up.
When I was a kid, I crawled up there, but I wouldn't do it now.
A lot of people.
Did we forget him?
Alright, council minutes approval, May 10th, 2023.
June 14th.
They should've been
That's
approved
just,
in-
yeah,
in
that's
June.
just
Yeah,
wrong date.
wrong date.
It's
so
wrong
this
date.
is
It's wrong
June,
date.
June 14th.
June 14th, there you go.
I'll fix that. Yeah, so we'll go through those minutes. The Tom Cheetoff spoke highly of this travel ball tournament. Well, the one for this weekend is canceled. So
Oh.
there's something going on, at Hit and Pitch in Owasso, but,
The guy's not paying,
this coaches, and he doesn't wanna pay the
people are, they
facilities.
stopped the tourney and he's not paying them back and he's
Yep.
not reimbursing people and,
Yep.
yeah.
So, but I talked with Ryan, that works at Strike Zone, and I talked to Tom, they're kind of branching off away from the Wasso side, and they're gonna have their own tournament, so.
Oh.
We don't want it to sour anything, but we still look forward to having it, and, the next time we have a tournament, we'll have a new playscape for the littles to play on, and, we'll have more porta johns. Each time we're learning a little bit more of what we need to provide, and we're working on power washing some of the old equipment, maybe staining some of it, cleaning up the pavilions, power washing the concrete that has swear words on it and whatnot, and getting some of the, leaves off the top of that, so.
And having the concession stand open.
Concession stand was open, they made well over $800 in 2 days, which supports our local Little League pretty well.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of the regular meeting for June 14th.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Commission and committee reports. Downtown Development Authority, special meeting June 26, 2023.
So this was, outside, they canceled their June meeting because everybody was on vacation, so we had a special, or the July meeting, July 2nd. So we had a special one the end of June because the, Water Tower Painting Company wanted to get on the books like now. He wanted to be here the next day, and I was like, well, I don't have approval to move forward with any of this, so we had to have one to approve the color and the signs and make sure, because that's an extra cost on top of what we already paid for the, painting, so that's what this meeting was about. It does say black on gray water tower, but, they switched to the maroon to stay consistent with our branding, which was recommended by one of the photographers that's on the DDA.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of the special meeting for DDA on June 26th.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Planning Commission, June 28th, 2023.
This was all about, section 4-13, the recreational vehicle of the new, Village of St. Charles zoning ordinance. There is a public hearing next Thursday, 6 o'clock right here. They're talking about the best way to do it because lot sizes are different, garages are different, driveways are different, people's boat sizes are different, recreation, so, they've been suggested, there's a couple different languages and verbiages of this, and they're just trying to find the best one, that's least intrusive to anybody. In fact, when they changed it, it gave most people more leeway. You can park close to the lot line, it doesn't have, you just have to be on the side, so, we have some properties that have, 5 acres, we have some that have not even a little bit of an acre, so.
Quarter acre.
So, and as you can read through the notes, a lot of good discussion was had where it's a slippery slope, I don't like to get into lot size zoning, if small lots can comply, why can't large lots? So, we will bring it back up. But that's the point of the commission, so. And they will recommend to you based on that meeting.
When is that public hearing?
Next Thursday, 6 p.m., so next month in our meeting, I'll have the language that they recommend, and you can do with it as you wish. But it is a good, healthy discussion.
I'll make a motion to accept the planning commission minutes, June 28th, 2023.
And I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Parks and Recreation Committee for June 21st, 2023.
We should have some new signage, we should have hopefully the kayak launch and the state bank signage for down there, so we can have the grand ribbon cutting or whatever. We're looking at new signage for our parks, at coal miners specifically. And then every month I get a list, as you see, from a member who would like to see things different, and I just make note and put them in DPW's Sana, and we try to, chip away at some. Right now, there's a big tree limb hanging off a pine behind Field 1 that needs to get taken down, and that's a high priority, but
Started the playscape thing today, was that?
they did. It looks pretty cool. It's gonna be awesome. Like, I'm not gonna even use it.
Oh, you're gonna go through the
No, he's gonna be the first one down the slide.
I'm just saying, you guys go home after this meeting, I'm going to the park.
Isn't there like half dozen slides?
Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I was pretty disappointed. This one's up, and I was like, "Well, this thing isn't as big as I thought." Maybe it's just because I'm not a kid, but I'm like, "Oh, it's this little one. Oh, the big ones are coming." So it'll be nice, and the amount of positive feedback online already is just 100 and some people have already liked or commented. So,
I'm excited to see it done.
and same with the kayak launch. That thing took off, and I don't.
Well, it's great.
People
We need to discuss that kayak launch. I thought like Kathy's idea, I kinda have the same idea, but if we got all that stone in that put in there, you had to get hold of Eagle to get a permit, didn't you? To put all that stone in that in there?
It's
You
temporary
think
stone.
500 foot from the river, right?
It's temporary stone. It's not permanent.
I'm just saying, we need to
We gotta figure out what
get
we're
out of that,
Yeah.
so that, like, they're gonna be using it. Actually, I think they use that more than they do the DNR anymore, seriously.
Yeah.
I think we put stone in there, so it isn't all muddy and nasty, and, yeah, and while the river's low, it's probably a good time to get something done.
For the,
gravel,
Didn't they already put some in?
boat launch,
we
whatever.
put cement,
There's some stone down there, and I get it, it actually helped,
we put a lot of good stuff in there.
yeah, but I seen it, I live right there.
Yeah, Tyler and,
I'm just saying, I think there's a lot of ideas that people have that would really improve that little park right there, probably wouldn't cost you much either, so, yeah,
we gotta figure out the drive first, and then
I get it.
there's people right now who, they saw a swing, some kind of swing set where you sit and look at the water up in Tawas, and they wanna bring that idea, so they might,
You mentioned like putting a retaining wall right along that road right there and planting plants and that in there, that'd be cool, taking all that rubbish out of there, or nasty trees.
yep, those, at least 5 are probably gonna have to go in order to do what we want, at least.
Have they
Clean
taken,
it up
have
a
they
little
gotten
bit.
the other swing set out of there yet?
No, no,
More stone in there though, for sure, for the boat launch, for sure.
yeah, they worked on that for a good day.
Yeah, looks good. A lot of people
It's-
down there.
it's
swimming.
better, but-
Kids down there swimming out there, people are down there reading, everybody uses it, so, yeah, it was a good idea.
Is there any kind of follow-up on the vandalism at the park?
Police have been patrolling a little bit more, like tonight I'm worried about the equipment that's there, I hope Ethan will check out Coal
I
Myers.
told him about it.
Yep, a few members of the village have purchased signs, and they're gonna put signs up, just like if you see something, say something with our police number on it. At least leave a message so that we can kinda check it out. I think we have 4 signs for coal miners, 2 signs for lumberjack, but, they wrecked those picnic tables, a couple kids after graduation had some beers, then smashed them on the concrete, so. Just little things that, just wanna be good humans, but at the same time, if you see something, say something. Until we can afford camera system or something, which, Chief Oliver will have it on his phone, watch it.
Suppose we could
All
put
night.
signs that say we have cameras.
Be like a
And
ring
we
system, my phone
Yeah.
be going off all day.
Yeah. Oh, that's Martha, she's just walking, it's 5 AM.
Yeah,
Could have some all-night surveillance tonight, I'm pretty sure I got a friend
That's
in
what
the
I
park
wondered.
that's ducking the rain.
Oh, come on.
I hope the rain will keep them away tonight.
Oh, too soon.
Good age, good age.
Sounds good.
Anybody else want their automation?
Okay, I might as well, might as well do number
Just like
30.
waiting for it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the Wednesday, June 21st Park Commission meeting.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Communications.
No Review magazine, trying to update you on everything that's kinda going on, so.
Payment of claims.
There's a large one in there, I just
Yeah,
wanna
there's a
talk,
couple of them.
I'm gonna talk to you about the page 4 of 8,
There's 6 of them.
halfway down to $550,000.
Yeah.
So that is our category B grant. So the state sent us the check, but because we bonded through the county, there's no point of us holding on to it. And so Mitchell and I talked with Brian Wendling and his treasurer, and for the purposes of auditing, when we get audited and they get audited, they wanna see where it came from and when, and so just for the cleanness of the audit, we sent it to them right now. And as we go through category B, they're just gonna take those funds out of that. So that is, $250,000 from the state, and then the rest is from our village street millage, which is our matching amount for the category B. So that's our sidewalks and roads that we are replacing as part of this project. But there's, like I said, there's no sense of us holding on to it in our bank account, making it look like we have all this money, when in reality, we have to pay the county anyway. And that what they said was basically, you can't take it with you. So they gotta use it all anyway, and do you have any other, like, details on that? I just,
No, I mean, the grant is for the percentage of what it was in the local matches. I mean, what we're doing within the project is over $500,000. So the most you can get in the grant's 250. I think we were at what, almost 570?
590, I think, so
590.
I gave them less than the full amount, just in case they don't end up doing the full scope or something happens, I don't want them to have our money, so. I gave them what will cover the cost of what we can do, but I still shorted them a little, just for a little leeway.
Mid-Michigan Waste Authority, $13,094. Does that sound high to you, or is it just me?
Is that kind of par for the course with them? Which page are you on? That's ours.
Yeah, 4.8.
Okay. Yeah, so that's our,
Swamp Creek, James, St. Charles.
that's our water.
Metered water, $16,374.74.
So that's what we pay for, to supply the water.
Yeah, this seems a little high, but this one I didn't get. VC3 Incorporated Server,
So that-
$4,478.
Yeah, so our server went down for a week, and that supplies our phones, our internet, our computers. And so it was hard to do business, so we had to buy a completely new server, which that was like $7,000. This is just to renew our contract with them to keep us up and running.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they used to be out of Bath, Michigan. It was called IT Right, and now they were bought out by a military guy from South Carolina. So they call with these accents, but then they still send the people from Bath. And they were very good to us, but our BSNA system that tracks all our water bills, our utility bills, our village taxes, every dollar that we spend so that we can put these together,
Is it worth it, is what I'm asking?
goes through that system.
I mean, what if it goes down again? I mean, is it gonna go down again in 6 months, or is it gonna guarantee to last a couple of years?
The server should, yes, absolutely.
Okay, the only other thing, I'm looking at this. I added this up, maybe I added it wrong. $1,278,190.36, the difference from last month of $765,396.48. That's a huge amount of money.
Yes, that's, we bought the Playscape.
$1,278,190. That is a lot of money.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of money.
This last, maybe,
Yep, the last 2 months. We bought the truck, we got the Playscape, we got the kayak launch, we paid for this water.
Thinking, whoa, put the brakes on here, that's a lot of money. In 1 month, we spent $765,396. That is a lot of money.
Now you see why I don't sleep at night sometimes.
I take both myself.
Yeah, this is why, like, when we were talking about the bonding and the interest rate being at what it was, that
That's crazy. That's crazy.
it's so helpful, because I was planning on 5 and 6. So hypothetically, if Congressman Kildee comes through with this congressional appropriation, it takes our 20 years down to almost 10. So I am very hopeful that that goes through.
Well, I hope so too. I mean, if I don't want to be on the hook for that kind of money, that's a lot of money.
But then you look at the good that you're doing
I
on the.
get that.
No, I know,
do,
I just.
But just like to throw it all in your lap at once instead of spreading it out, that's like,
Yeah.
good that it's getting done, but just,
Yeah, well,
Well, we gotta
it got 20 years to pay for it. So. Yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, it does seem like it's a lot.
saying in a month, that is a lot of money. $750,000
just-
is a lot of money.
I'm just kinda curious as to what kind of repairs and maintenance do we have through Sam's Club?
Where's that at?
That's on 4.8.
4.8. Sam's Club repairs and maintenance. So one's DDA, one's just stuff around the office probably.
$283, but yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Well, I'm just wondering, it says repairs and maintenance, and I'm thinking,
So it could be just paper towels, coffee. It could be
It ain't
all
hard
the
to spend
soap.
$300 at Sam's Club.
wouldn't that be listed as something other than repairs and maintenance?
No, this is maintenance for the building.
It's just
Well,
maintenance.
maintenance, okay, maybe, but repairs, I'm thinking.
No, that's just the code from the state, but it's mostly maintenance stuff. Yeah, a lot of cleaning supplies.
Here's another one too.
Just was curious.
I don't know if you can do it, if you do it on the computer, if you can do it by yourself. To total that, so I gotta keep adding this crap up every month.
The backside.
Total that? I mean, we can go back over it and check it, but just all this on the page here, the total by funds, total by what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's just above the,
Well, I just was looking for it at the bottom,
yeah.
why don't we just put it at the bottom, so I, not just keep adding crap up? It's still not the same, we didn't come up with the same, but yeah. That's got 639,375.41. And it was 765,000.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You must have to put it at the bottom, so everybody can kind of just go, instead of looking at it, going, oh crap, 550,000, 20,000. Yeah.
Make a motion to pay the bills for the month of June, in the amount of $639,375.41.
Support. Those
Support it, that way it's good this month.
those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? New business,
you gave us a lot of.
Saginaw County Hazard Mitigation Plan with local resolution.
So, last November, I submitted, the village hazard mitigation plan. Basically, they look at, long-term power outage, flooding, tornado, wildfire, drought, severe winter weather, severe thunderstorms, wind event, hazmat, incident, fixed site, transportation, public health emergency, sinkhole, earthquakes, mass violence, civil unrest, major structure fire, transportation incidents, oil or gas pipeline accident, infrastructure failure, extreme temperatures, nuclear attack, nuclear power plant accident, utility failure, water sewer, interruption of government services. So I had to fill out all, like, the threat, the probability, and send it to the county to be a part of this.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's exhilarating. So basically, the county does it so that they are in cahoot, or they're in compliance, I don't wanna call myself there, with FEMA. And so after the May 2020 FEMA dam breaking and all the money that they're trying to recoup to recover up there, they wanted more municipalities involved so that when they come to say, I have 17 municipalities that support this plan and we need funding for this, it probably won't help the village a ton, but at least they have our evidence of what we think could happen, so that if something does happen, they'll be out here, they'll set up the site where everybody's gonna have to, you know, stay and live, and the transportation and all the emergency management type things, so
Oh, don't you think they'd have that? They
anyway.
can give us the paperwork all they want, but to actually do it.
And then
Where are
the-
they gonna do it? Does everybody know where to do it?
Right, and that's where they're gonna be in charge. The small chance that the dam or the dikes do go over the dikes, then this allows us to go after the FEMA on top of what we did last month. So it brings more credibility to our, wants for money if flooding does occur. So that's why we're a part of it. They were a part of it in 2017. I thought we should probably stay in. I didn't wanna do it just to do something, but just in case, you know, that May 2020 kinda showed us a lot that I didn't suspect, and, you know, people hadn't seen since '86, so. So this says that we've adopted it, and we sent it to them, they sent it to FEMA, they put it in the back of their book, and they'll probably send us another one of those with our resolution in it. But I will add that they changed the third whereas, or the second whereas, they changed it to, in accordance with federal laws, including the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act, that wasn't in there last time, as amended, and then they included the National Flood Insurance Act of '68, that was also not in there, and then they threw in the National Dam Safety Program, so you can see where they're trying to go for their money.
Really, in the long run, is that gonna help us, help the people who are out here through FEMA and that? I mean, is it really gonna help us?
It's, I hope, it is my hope.
I think it's important we have it.
I think this is more
I'm
about
not saying it's not
recouping,
important, I'm just saying,
it's
what they're
the,
really telling us,
yeah,
that it,
they don't have any money, right?
yeah.
I just noticed a typo in the third paragraph. It says hereby knows as the,
No, yep, that'll do it. Get that fixed before you sign.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number 2312 to adopt the Saginaw County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Yeah, So Saginaw County adopted it May 16th, and FEMA adopted it June 1. Just for more background.
Item B, mayor's annual, let's say that, actuarial evaluations.
So this is our yearly actuarial on our pension system, our pension funds. We are now funded at 73.9% or 74%, up 4% from last year when we took a negative in the stock market by 10%. So that means we're doing the right thing, we're sacrificing, we're trying to do things the right way while other municipalities have been reaching out to the state government with their hand out, looking for help. I know of a municipality, if you're under 60% funded, they're trying to get everybody there. So I think municipality just west of here is receiving about $400,000 to get them up to 60%. They didn't have a clue about pension funding, they didn't know what they had to do, they didn't know about the state requirements, which is what PA 202 of 2017. So we've been on the ball, we've done it the right way. I give you this just because it will probably come up in the audit next month when I'm hoping to have Ken Berthium here to talk about the handout I gave you in a much more exhilarating manner and fashion, if you know Ken. But it shows you our funds and what we're trying to do. We've closed all the amazing pensions from the 70s and 80s and 90s, and there's a couple of people in the B4 system still. We're in the C1, so our multiplier is less, our FAC is the same, but right now we're just trying to get up to 80%, and then we can kind of scale back on all the we'll keep the surplus funding going, we'll keep our minimum funds, but we can step back and maybe start looking at spending money other places. OPEB is obviously 29% funded, it used to be 3 years ago. I imagine that's the state's gonna come through next, they already make you report it and send it to them every year now. I'm guessing that's the next thing, which if they do the 60% thing again, we qualify, so. But we have less people in that healthcare system, we shut down supporting retirees and their families. If people want their spouses on, they have to pay. You know, Hal Mead paid for his wife's for all those years. So we shut down, we closed all the loopholes for the past to try to catch up. My notes here are, you know, we still have $5.2 million in liabilities in our pension fund. We do have $3.8 million in assets, which is good, and we're not, you know, state's not looking after us. We don't have to submit anything to them. A lot of people have to put a plan together, like a 71-page plan on how they're gonna fix things, and I've had to do that once and I did not like it. That's a lot of work for them to say, okay, thanks. So,
I appreciate all your efforts.
Yes.
yeah, it's not fun, it's not flashy, it's kinda boring, but it's the things that if you don't take care of, it catches up to you, and then you start spending, you're throwing money at the state or at MERS, and you're not buying things and fixing up stuff you need to fix up around home. You're not doing road projects because you're paying, you know, from the past.
Right.
So
Where's this money come from that these other towns are getting to?
the state legislature has put it through. I think they're receiving a lot of federal funds post-pandemic, or they have extra funds post-pandemic, and they are using it in this manner. And it's also tends to help them in their re-elections when they say, I gave you this amount of money, now you gotta vote for me, kind of a trade-off, tell your residents that how great I am, type of deal. And originally, there was a fund for people over 60% funded. There's $250 million that was supposed to, we were gonna divvy up and try to help each other get to 80, 85. Well, the legislature, well, how do I say this in the right way? The financially sound and prudent municipalities don't tend to need help. And the lower, I don't know how do you say this? They're trying to help a lot of areas of underprivileged leadership.
Okay.
It helps them in their re-election, I guess is the way to say that. Yeah, so, yeah, but we took a 10.37% loss on our return and it still went up 4%, which means we budgeted very well, but I don't wanna spend all my money, or spend all village money sending it there every year. We got projects to pay for, we got things to do. But we're ahead of the curve, and so now we can maybe back off a little bit on the pension, push a little bit more on the OPEB, and keep fixing things up around town.
Truthfully, I don't know anybody that does pensions anymore. Everybody's away from pensions.
Yeah, 401k, people are going to 457, which we brought in 2 years ago, so, because the 401k is dying now.
You know,
Now we're like, you guys, you getting
So I-
MERS?
We're in MERS,
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
will be.
vested, I do
Okay.
have a 457, so I put $10 a week into that, so my wife will be okay when I go.
Okay. Cause I know when I worked for the county, they had MERS when I started there, which really helped me here.
Yep.
But now they've done away with that.
Yeah, so the thing with MERS, and this is how they keep you, they don't let you, so I'd like to go to, instead of a defined contribution, you go to, or defined benefit, you go to defined contribution, and employees start chipping in. And MERS doesn't let you do that until you're 100% funded,
Oh,
or 80% funded, and have a plan to make up that last 20% the next 2 years, which is millions of dollars. Well, no, people don't just have millions of dollars to catch up. So that's why we're trying to get up there, then eventually get up to that 100%, which is 2032, 2033, we should be 100% funded, then look at a defined contribution, get out of that, and then we'll work out of something else as far as the OPEB side of it.
I'll probably be dead by then.
I'm just setting it up, whoever's here in 2033 is gonna be okay. They're gonna have the water project funded,
There you go.
they're gonna have
Well appreciated.
the pension funded, they're gonna have OPEB good to go.
Oh,
They're gonna be able to do phase 3 and 4.
I'd like to live as long as Mrs. Zender, but I don't know about that. Do we need a, oh, this is the election.
The next thing is, every year I just bring you the candidates for the workers' compensation fund to show you who they are, and I normally just go with the flow on this. I normally write in one person I know, just as a joke. That's been in a manager for, I think, 10 years, but, I think last year I wrote in myself, but. Just to show you the candidates, so David Tosova from Hastings, I'm on the financial board with him. Juan Gainham from Bridgman, we worked in the legislature at the same time, he was on the other side of the aisle. But Zealand's got a well-run city, Spring Lake, she asked a lot of questions, well-run. Good people.
Can we just let you decide that then?
Yep, unless you wanna write somebody in, I'm gonna go with those 6.
well, let you know.
Do you wanna be written in?
No.
Oh, and I see one. Just let her do it. Okay, I'll make a motion that, we allow Hart to decide who we're going to recommend for this Michigan Municipal League.
I support that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All in favor?
We should print it up for you.
There you go.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Next month, Ken Bertheume should be here to go over the financial statements that you have. I wanted you to have at least a month to go over it, look at it, if you have any questions for him. He's an independent third party that we pay. There was a new standard, what is it, 87? Which requires us, GASB 87, which requires us to identify and report leasing activities, but goes through the auditor's responsibilities, the plan and scope and time, their basis for their opinions. They ask us a lot of questions via email about fraud, suspected fraud, alleged fraud, fear of fraud, where you might find fraud. And we all independently respond to those emails. They go through all our BSNA, the software that was on the server that we use for everything, that tracks every penny.
Do you have somebody that actually goes through this and goes,
Darcy does.
bean counter that just.
Yeah, Darcy does it and then gives it to Ken and he signs off on it. But, yep, every penny, every journal entry, everything we do, and she went to school.
I used to be a
she
bean
went
counter.
she went to go to school to do this, so
God.
she came in at the right time in the middle of the audit and helped us get through it. But she's a bean counter. That tells you a little bit about her personality.
Good luck with that.
So, but Ken will be here, and this is just a way for you guys to feel confident in the fiduciary responsibility of the village, the public as well, that somebody is coming in looking at every penny, every book, everything we've ever done, just to make sure that we're not cheating the system or frauding the
Is that something from
system.
the state, the feds, what is it?
It's a private CPA firm, and then they have to file it with the state treasury, so they filed it last week, and so then the state will go through it and look for the same things. So there are checks and balances.
I don't know what kind of.
Zoning ordinance rewrite approved copy, that is the copy from Row Engineering, that is everything that we went through. Planning Commission spent a year or 2 years on. This is the approved copy that you adopted. Now this is, if you go to 4-13 at the top of the page, that recreation vehicles, as well as the minutes from the last Planning Commission meeting, you'll see the suggested language from Row and what they're gonna look to amend next week. And, yes, sir.
You would have to have the punchers, we put this in a spiral, a hard copy. Yeah, I don't have one of that. You wanna buy one, just to punch a hole in this.
Yeah, we got one right there. So, yep,
I leave it like that, it'll get tore up.
yeah, gotcha. So,
Figured you'd shellac it.
figure you should have that when next month, this is what we're talking about. But also the official copy you can take home and mark up and look through, and if you see something you don't like, make a recommendation to the planning commission, we'll get it on the agenda and work through it
Who's the planning commission next Thursday?
next Thursday. And speaking of planning commission, we do have an opening. Diana Coots did not seek re-election or reappointment, I should say. She was the treasurer, and if you know Mrs. Coots, she was very thorough in her minutes and her verbiage and her language and her editing and her spelling. And we have Jennifer Rosser Nesbitt, who is the manager of alumni engagement at Saginaw Valley, who used to take the minutes here, former clerk, has submitted her letter of interest to join that commission.
Cool.
And it would be up to you to appoint her for that term. I believe it's 3 years. I have to look, but,
I think it is.
yeah.
The three of
I don't know, should I just know where's the?
Hey, so we had the pandemic, did you guys do the Zoom thing here?
We did. We didn't use Skype or Zoom. What did we use?
Teams.
Nope. Oh, I already forgot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm questioning it because, I mean, somebody even said that the meetings aren't being put on the website anymore.
They're still up.
Were?
We're recording this.
Yeah, but
We
somebody said they
missed
couldn't
last
get on
month.
it or something, but.
We missed last
I had a
month.
technical
Well, that's-
issue.
But I might be held away a little bit with my new endeavors here, so,
Got new endeavors? Congratulations.
yeah.
I don't know. What did we use? That's gonna bother me.
Kathy, didn't, somebody said you used it? The Zoom or something? What was it you
Yeah,
used?
yeah,
Used- it was,
everybody that
it was
was
like a
outside.
Zoom, it was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a different program, but
It
same
was
thing.
the same thing, so it
Camera
was
on,
allowed
and
under
all
the
that
Emergency
stuff.
Act under the
Well,
county.
that way I could be here without being here.
Right, it's not allowed anymore under the county. That was an Emergency Act only.
That was during the.
I think it showed that we should be able to do it.
You might even help.
Is that WebEx?
Right.
You know.
WebEx.
WebEx.
We use
yeah,
WebEx.
that's-
Was it
I use
was
I use
WebEx.
WebEx because I think it was up in Sheboygan, they use Zoom, and somebody hacked in and put pornographic
Oh,
videos
my God.
on a meeting, a public meeting, and I said, I don't want that one, cause they didn't have it figured out yet, so I went with the company that had the secure way to get in, so that couldn't happen, so that's why we went WebEx.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Well, is that, they gotta be worth this stuff too. There's gotta be
there's,
something.
well, now that people are making money off of it during the pandemic, that a lot of companies started up, or Microsoft Teams, Google had one,
Like you're
WebEx,
saying, though, you gotta make sure it's secure, so.
yeah. So they,
I wanna hacking into my crap either, that's,
right,
So then,
Mitch,
when Diane Dennis was doing it, when she was in Florida, then that was just.
that was during the
pandemic?
pandemic, that was during the emergency act allowed by the county of Saginaw, under the COVID pandemic, so they canceled that, I think, in March of 2020.
I'm just saying, with that already happening, wouldn't it be easy just to reset it up? I mean, you know,
If it was legal, 100%.
If it's not legal, we can't do
Yeah.
it.
what
but
do you mean it's not legal?
He said it's not legal, no.
Legal now.
It was only during this pandemic.
The county if the county
It's
hasn't.
county, you know, public knowledge, right? I mean, what's the difference between doing that and doing it, so you can hear the minutes and whatever on the.
Maybe
I mean,
it'll change.
there's really not a lot of
It's
difference.
just about attendance, I guess, and I don't know, because that recorded video too, so we had audio and video.
Legal, really?
I'm sure one day they'll.
It'll be back, I'm sure, because there's a lot of places where, oh, I'm going to Florida for 3 months or I'm doing this, well, can I call in, and why not?
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's a lot easier for the public to come in and view the actual meetings in person. A lot of people don't have that kind of
No.
tech communication to go on those meetings and have their say.
Right.
So if you have those meetings now, when you can't, when you're not supposed to,
Right.
it's leaving those people out that wouldn't necessarily have their voice anymore. Now that you're able to come face to face, you're supposed to, because it gives those people opportunity to come into the meetings that don't have the communication or network capabilities to log on to the Zoom meetings and have their voice heard.
Yeah,
I
they-
think-
It was
So it's
only
gotta be a
allowed
way to
then.
save it, I mean,
I think
you save it, you get on, I mean, like some of the people that live on BFBO can't get on the internet, they have a hard time getting a phone service, but then they could like, whatever, come to the
I think-
library or up to the
Yeah, but-
coffee shop and get
Right,
it.
it's the premise of the democracy should be open in public.
Yeah, it's gotta be open and public,
But
so people come in, and
yeah.
if they wanna yell at you, they can yell at
Yeah,
you.
well, I say that, if they can't make it here, they can still look at it or
Right.
listen to it or whatever.
Yeah, but
Then
at the
come-
time, at the moment, like, if somebody wanted to come in here right now and say they wanted something to say, they could say it because it's in person. But if they wanted to, when we were doing Zoom and they didn't have a computer, it's not allowing them their right to free speech for
And-
the meeting.
Oh, I see
And
what
the
you're
argument
saying. I
there
see
is
what
like
you're saying.
sometimes, well, you can go to a public library, well, libraries close at a certain time for them to access the computer, they don't
Well,
have
they-
internet.
I think you're talking more like if he was away somewhere.
Yeah.
and
Could he call in and
I might be
listen?
held away, so I had to like watch
You,
what's
you
going
could
on.
probably,
and make
you
public
can
comment.
call in, I don't think you'd be able to vote, if that would work. You could call in, but you couldn't
I'm
vote.
not sure how this is gonna pan out, I'm just
Okay.
kinda, I've only
Yeah.
done this for a month, so.
Yeah, you could call in and listen, and you could probably even comment, you just couldn't vote. But I'll look into that,
Yeah,
just to check legality and make sure, because once the public
I'm not saying I
emergency.
can or can't, but I'd just like to know what's going on.
I'll check the law on that.
Yeah, please do.
Did we elect Jenny?
Oh,
And I don't
sorry.
think Mike
I'll make a motion
can
to elect Jennifer Nesbit to the planning commission.
We'll support that for sure.
We'll do a roll call,
Yeah.
so he can. Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski,
Yep.
Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
abstain.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
and Lois Tiley's absent.
I saw her letter in the trash somewhere. You didn't talk about it.
Okay. Old business.
Just announcing the results of the 12,000 Brant Road. We had 2 people, put in their bid. The first bid was $1,538.37. And the winning bid was $5,652.00. And Mr. Scott Diffin, DPW employee. And from what I understand, he would like to build a barn, his son, I believe, will be building a barn dominium on it. So he'll have to go through the permitting through the township, through Scott Crow. But, it'll be a nice addition, for the township. Very interesting numbers, is all I'll say. Trying to figure out what the thought process was. Like 1 year's taxes, you think? Like cause there's no record since we owned it, don't pay taxes, so it's like, what are you guessing? Probably lot line, it's almost an acre.
I just wondered if they were thinking that. Since it was so old,
Yeah, I don't know. And the person that wanted it for 25 years or 20 years did not bid again.
Wow.
He
Really?
stopped in here twice and asked, actually more than twice. And I saw him at Cam's when I was at dinner tonight, and I just turned the other way.
I thought for sure he'd been the first one, you said for
Me
it's
too.
gotta be him.
I was thinking he was $1,000 one.
Yeah, I thought it was- he's the first one.
Okay.
Don is out of state at the moment, so these are his DPW report.
I think Spicer gave us a little update on what was going on with that. Oh, I got one for you. Next to Tony, where the old Red Lantern was.
Yes,
See that panel falling out there?
the new owner is going in and out. He will have,
See, I thought that was one of our properties.
oh, it was purchased. All three between Tony's, you weren't here. Between Tony's and the library has been sold. So the building to the farthest left or next to the library should be
Well, I know Mark
insurance.
Pools or whatever was, he said he'd sold that, he was cleaning it up.
Yep.
He didn't own all three of them though, did he?
He owned two, and then Dittmer's owned the third. So this person bought all three. He has Don's contact information when he's ready to rip them down and go in there with the dumpster. He's gonna clean
Can't
that
somebody
up.
needs to go up there with a screw gun and put a screw in that thing before somebody gets hurt?
Oh, I think
What's that?
he's been going in and out of it.
The facade.
facade.
Panels
Facade.
falling out to that little
We
bike rack.
fixed it today.
Did good?
It's backing up.
I was up there last night, and I seen it, I'm like, that ain't good. So,
Yeah, he's been going in and out, seeing what he has to do, what size dumpster. He's got a lot of work to do in there.
Talking about the jungle?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
it's a jungle for sure.
yep. And then, the building, Mark Spa Pools, he doesn't know what's going in there just yet. All he said to me was that he's gonna redo all the windows and make it look really nice.
You could use some new business, it'd be good.
So- That, the whole downtown,
1000% for it.
yeah, will be
That's
back
been
up and
nice
less
over
blighted.
Hell yeah.
Who mows by the road down at the, in front of the cemetery? Do we, does the DPW? I just saw it's really getting high.
The ditching?
I saw a young girl walking today and then the grass is high and she's trying to trudge through the grass and I'm thinking, ticks. There's so many ticks.
Yeah.
I just,
We do help them with ditching, sometimes they do it, the cemetery
Okay.
sexton, but, I'll put it on the list to check out and see if we can help it.
okay, yeah, it's just where people walk.
Yeah. Keep it clear and
Yeah.
lower and not a nuisance. Sometimes if they can get to it, they do it, sometimes they'll just call us and they're like, hey, we need help. So,
Okay.
Motion to accept the DPW report from June.
Support.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Police Department report.
Any questions on the 2 pages for calls, number of calls?
Well, I give you kudos on the way you printed this up, so you see exactly what's going on.
Yep. It's actually just a couple clicks of buttons with our report system.
That's awesome.
Calls for service, about the same as last month, which is probably gonna be around the same, it seems to be our averages in the 40s, so. Nothing higher or lower there. Terms of, anybody, any calls on those two first pages? Anything?
Chief, I have a schedule, or a question about the schedule.
I was gonna go over that next.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay,
Yep.
go ahead then.
Yeah, I like the way it's laid out. Who's ET?
Ethan,
Huh?
Ethan Thompson.
Okay.
We get deputized.
Oh, no.
No, you remember that movie back when you were a kid, that Phone Home?
Oh, yeah, I'm old. No, I have no question, I really don't.
Pretty much you two doing everything.
That's all we have now, yeah,
I know
really.
it.
Allison fills in every once in a while when she can. She hasn't taken any days yet this month. She's gonna get with me after the halfway through the month for the second half. They don't do their schedules for the full month over Bertrand, so she should know the second half of the month, when she's gonna be available, so if she can work, she works, but.
Maybe she's gonna build up a bank, like, through the summer, so she can do more hours during school, you know what I'm saying? She'll leave-
Well, she's their school resource officer over there, so he doesn't want her coming over here working our school.
She's in Bertrand.
She moved to Bertrand.
No, I'm talking about, what the hell's her name? The blonde.
Allison, that's what we're
Allison.
talking about.
Allison, that's who we're talking about.
She
Yeah.
switched.
You weren't here last month.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
she took a full-time job over there, trying to get her
Well,
to
she was
stay.
going from the house, I was talking to her, like,
Yeah.
really?
Mhm.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, school, I don't know.
So what are we doing now for the resource officer?
We have it posted and reposted.
I reposted the second time for this month, and I got a second applicant. First month I got one, I've got one since this time, and neither one or anything that's jumping out at me.
We talked about this before, getting somebody trained, maybe a old vet or a retired policeman, might it be cheaper, maybe do more hours in the school?
Problem with that is they don't have any functions in terms of ability to enforce any laws if they're not an actual certified officer. So basically, then if they have an issue, then they call me in there and it's defeating the purpose. One of the purposes of school resource officers is to keep the actual road patrol officers out of the school.
I get
And
what you're
if-
saying, but you can't tell me that's not a good idea, to actually get somebody in there, so more we can, even, I don't care. like-
I'm not saying it's not.
Like, she was only in there for a certain amount of time, I'm just saying, if we could get somebody in there for the whole day versus.
That's all has to do with the billing though. If the
Is there
school's
no
only
way
gonna
they
pay
can
for half,
get them trained to get them in there? I mean.
if the school's only gonna pay for half, then they have to be, if we're gonna pay 50%, then they're gonna be on the
With an
road.
ex-police officer, I mean, he's kinda already trained, right?
He is,
Yeah,
but they're not certified
certified.
to carry a weapon or anything like that in school. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of a school
Yeah.
resource officer.
Yeah.
They're there in case an emergency happens, heaven forbid somebody walks in with a gun.
I get
If
it.
they're not certified, they can't carry a weapon,
Yeah,
then,
and I'm okay with the gun thing in
You know.
school, but I'm just like going, okay, there's gotta be a different way to do this, so we don't have to shorten up our hours with the kids at the school. I mean, if somebody really wanted to do it, they could see what was going on with. the-
well, the way I'm gonna run the schedule, it's not gonna be a set.
I'm just
these
saying,
days,
if it's
these
not
days,
full-time,
these
if somebody
days,
really
it's
wanted to
just
get in, they could do it on the off hours, you know, so, I mean, what.
But if you
it's
don't
better
do
to
it-
have somebody there
If you don't do
full-time.
consecutive times where it's the same hours every day, they're not gonna know when they're there.
Yeah. To me, one of our most valuable resources is our kids, we need water, we need.
Back in the old days, Paul, you probably could do that. Not so much now. Especially with a lot of the shootings in the schools and stuff.
I get it, but there's gotta be a better way to get somebody in there the whole time instead of part-time. You know, she wasn't there the whole time.
Well, it's cause she was part-time though, she wasn't a full-time officer.
I'm just saying, we
And
need
so
to get
the-
somebody there full-time.
The school
He's
had
trying.
2 or 3 meetings to discuss moving her to full-time, and if they had pulled the trigger in April, she'd still be
All
here.
about the money, that's
Yeah,
what-
they came up with the other half, but she wanted to know in April, and they didn't make a decision until the end of May. And so in that time, I was like, you just gotta wait, we got you, they're gonna put up the whatever. And that time Bertrand came calling.
Can't blame her.
No, not at all. I can't blame her, but it just sucks.
Yeah, right.
What's your question about schedule?
Oh, I just wondered, cause I see you only had like an officer on a couple Sundays and Saturdays in the month, and I just wondered
It's a
if,
rotation that I put up for Ethan to help him with his life, and, if we had, these other days are would be filled by part-time, but it's just the two of us, so we're filling as much as we can. He's not working any Mondays, he's working every other Saturday, and he's working almost every Friday. I think well, now it's every other Friday, so he'll work a weekend off a weekend, basically like, it rotates like a 12-hour shift rotation, it's only 10 hours, so we actually get an extra coverage for him. I came up with the idea of having this rotation for him, so that way he has a set schedule and it works better for him when he has to make appointments and stuff, and it's not bouncing back and forth. But it also sets it to where it's almost, we know that it's every other weekend, then that way I know I can talk to Alice and see if she can work that in the weekend. If we bring in another part-time, then that part-time person will know that these are the weekends that they work. And then if they wanna work somewhere else, they can have a second part-time job, but they know that what their schedule is here, it's on a regular basis.
And we kinda have a rolling part-time, posting, is that correct?
Yeah, well, we did, yeah. There was one of the guys from, Chesney actually approached me when I was on the side of the road one day, he was on his way home. And talked to me about part-time, and I said, if you wanna come work part-time, we'll take you, cause with a part-timer, if they're already full-time someplace else, you just basically outfit them with a uniform and they use their gear from the full-time employment. So that way it keeps us from having to buy them a vest, buy them gear, they're already certified in the weapon that they use, so we don't have to certify them or anything like that, all we gotta do is supply them with a uniform to wear and stick them in the car, they already know what they're doing. So realistically, having 10 part-timers is a lot better than having 5 full-timers, because it's cheaper, you don't have to pay for insurance, you don't have to do this, you don't do that. But then you also have to get the schedule based on their full-time job, which is sometimes difficult. So there's pros and cons, money-wise, part-time is the best thing for you to have, because you don't pay retirement, you
Yeah,
don't
but
pay
then
insurance.
you're risking him going somewhere else and losing him.
Well, yeah, but they're part-time, they're already full-time someplace else.
Full-time.
This is just, officers do his part-time job as moonlighting so they can bump their pay up, because nobody gets paid what they deserve doing this job, so you gotta do that, Ethan came to ask me if he can do part-time, and I allowed him to do it, cause I know it's hard. And I spoke to the chief before that, and we talked, and he said, I'm not trying to take it from you.
Helps him, helps us, I'm good with it.
Helps him, it helps them, and that's fine, So, but that's the reason for the schedule the way it is, it helps him out, obviously with his family, but it also helps him out for his part-time job, so he knows what he's working on a regular basis. So that way he can get some hours over there and get some extra money for him. He's going through a little thing with his vehicles right now, he's gotta replace both his vehicles right now, so.
I was just concerned about, not so much coverage on the weekends.
Well, with only 2 people, there's only so much we can cover.
Are
That's
you
the problem.
finding out that there's
There's
more
only
stuff
so
going
much.
on during the week than on the weekends, or is it?
Well, he has that schedule, I give him every weekend off, I can't work him every weekend.
Nope.
Can't work everybody every weekend, he's got a weekend off, he's got family.
That's right.
I understand that. You don't do it like they used to.
Any questions about the schedule?
I'm good.
No, we appreciate what you're doing.
Alright, so, the elephant in the room would be, that everybody's talking about now, is what happened on the rail trail. It happened not last month, but we'll talk about it now because it's fresh. So, on Sunday at 6 o'clock, roughly 6 o'clock, Ethan got dispatched to the rail trail. It was exactly where it was. Unresponsive male not breathing on the rail trail, and it was the rail trail north, east, north, and and East Water Streets is where approximately he was on the rail trail. A lady was walking down the rail trail and happened to see his white shirt that he had on, and just looked a little bit more and noticed there was somebody laying there, so she called us. She claims if with it being the vegetation, if he had a darker colored shirt, she never would've saw him, because he was so far down there. Ethan responded by the time he got to there. The guy was already cold, no pulse. There's not much he can do at that point, so he contacted fire. They came in and blocked off the 2 sections between there for the rail trail, so nobody else could get through. And then we had to get him out of there, which is another part of it, because he's down the hill. So they got the hard gurney down there and carried him out of there, and then Neil, loaned his side-by-side to the fire department. They drove it down there, they stuck him in the back of the side-by-side and just kind of basically walked him out, but all the weight was on the side-by-side, so, cause he was back there quite a ways. Preliminary, looks like he went off the trail and just went down in the gully and crashed and sustained some injuries. But
How old would me, would you think it might have been something medical?
Well, we're waiting on the autopsy to find out for sure. I mean, that's just preliminary results. I mean, there's things that I could say that what I see and what I read maybe don't jive, but I can't comment on it until I get the autopsy, because right now, it's just my hearsay from what my experience is and what I see. But like I said, until the autopsy report comes, we know exactly what his cause of death is, we can't really say anything on that. If the cause of death comes back and shows something different than what we're thinking, we've already started looking into a few other avenues of what might have happened. But it's all hearsay and skepticism as of right now.
He's riding a bike, he couldn't have been too unhealthy, so, yeah, too bad.
Yeah, so, Fremont Township resident, I, didn't know it at the time, but I got a call when I was at home, and it ended up being, a parent on my son's baseball team. It was her father, so, didn't know that, obviously, but, yeah. Anything else in those paperwork? Or on that call? The only thing that I noticed that it was pointed out to me, I got a Facebook message about the speed limit signs coming in from the north on 52.
Yeah, I got a little.
You're coming into town before the bridge, there's a sign that says 35 ahead, but the actual 35 sign is not till you get to the freezer. So you've got that whole section of once you get into the town, in the village, where the village limit sign is, it's still 55. Past coal miners,
Why did they change that?
I don't know. I didn't know it was ever changed. I was always on the assumption that it was 35 before, right at the village limit sign, which is, it's like that every other place in the village. So I'm wondering if,
Residential right there, you think it.
Well,
Before you get in past.
the hard
30.
part about that is MDOT controls the speed limits on 52.
I know, that don't make no sense.
And if you call and ask them and get something lowered down, they will do a survey, and they say, we'll do a survey, but if the results show that we need to raise it, then we're gonna raise it. So that's the chance you take if you wanna have them do a survey on lowering the speed limits. Now, I don't know if there's a sign missing in there, I haven't been here long enough to know if there was one there.
Everybody's asking me about that.
You would think that there should be a sign there at the village limit sign, like they are every other place,
There you go.
but I don't know, I haven't been here long enough to know if there's one way or not, if
It
anybody.
ain't broke, don't fix it. Why did they do that? I don't understand.
But that's such a big, long stretch where it's 55 until you get to 35, where there's so much residential.
That's what I'm saying, that don't make any
And-
sense.
Half the time, people don't slow down until after the sign anyway, so you're past the freezer before you're even slowing down, and that's where kids are coming by, and parks there.
Yeah, the park right there, and that doesn't make no sense. Somebody needs to look into it.
So I don't know, who do we need to call about looking into that?
Talk to our sign guy.
To see if it
Don
was-
Huntley.
Yeah,
We'll call Don.
I thought there used to be a sign there, right after
Yeah.
the bridge.
Let me,
cause every other entrance on the village, right at the village limit sign, there's a slower speed limit, you know?
What?
I'll text him.
I'm losing it, I'll remember that.
Anything else?
You're gonna lose that, I'll beat you. Thank you. Who's Scott tonight, huh?
Yeah, he said he was gonna be back. All I can tell you is his wife had a fall yesterday and ended up at the hospital, and I'm wondering if that's where he is.
You gonna accept the police report? Make a motion to accept the police report.
Support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Building inspector code enforcement report. There was nothing,
Pardon?
no report.
Oh, you know what, I got something to ask about this. What is this restart?
Oh, so based on the new ordinances, he's working with the village attorney on what he can do to go after these people.
This is ridiculous. This is
Legally?
getting out of hand.
So that when it gets to court, that he has some teeth and the judge will back him.
I mean, it wasn't so bad before over there on West North Street. But now, you look at it now, it's terrible, it's bad. And then just like go around across from the Catholic Church there, Rittenberg there,
Oh, yeah.
that's really bad off Flint there, that's terrible.
I just have to say, Mr. Rittenberg, it's a pretty neat mess.
There you go.
Like,
That's a great way to put it.
It's
A neat
pretty well,
oxymoron.
everything's pretty
Neat
well,
mess.
I was by
But you know
it-
what,
I was by
it's
it
a
last
fire
week.
hazard, like,
What?
oh my god, that went up, everybody go up, everybody around there was just,
Yeah.
like, really? And he's out there burning plastic and for wire, and it's like, really?
So did
Like the
Chuck
guy that's
say
like,
last
really?
month
It's
because we had
kind of ridiculous. If you're on the country or something, you put a fence or
Right.
Right
whatever,
tickets that we had to
But
start.
you're right, you can take out that whole
process
block
over.
right there. Just-
ridiculous.
I'm sure he knows where everything is, A to Z.
And I guess I missed the one with the
All-
burned and taken over by the county.
So east north, that's one of our problem houses, 424, I think it is.
I think it went down there. I thought somebody was living in that.
They were, the night before Memorial Day, it went up in flames, and allegedly there's no insurance, the county already has it.
Really? That was quick.
So Scott, the person that runs the county land bank and determines who gets razzed, hired Scott out of college, I think. So he has a great connection there, so he's gonna push to get it razzed. Normally it takes 3
Who's paying to
years.
have that demolition, the county?
Yep.
We're gonna give you a sledgehammer. We're gonna give you a sledgehammer, take some frustrations out.
And you need a bigger house.
Well, it's always good to start small.
You know anything about this number 5?
I do not. I do not. I do know that it was, well,
Housing
yeah,
violation?
I believe it involves, I'll just say, bed bugs.
I'm working on it.
Oh,
You
really?
got some good ones. You don't need a
Yeah.
prescription.
So there, when one unit was affected, rather than fumigate the entire building, they just did that one room. And so when the bed bugs were fumigated, guess where they went?
Sure.
To the next room available. And so that is a violation of state law and code, and so,
Them things are nasty.
yeah. So the letter was sent and the process has begun to,
Nice to see they're finally doing something with that place across from Frank's.
All right.
Thanks for asking.
Happy days.
and on the back you have the building permits, $767 for the month, which people are making and shaking. I do see that the Family Dollar Tree is open.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
I haven't been in yet.
Really nice. I was surprised.
It's neat, isn't it?
Grand opening for Dollar General, grand opening Saturday.
I hear they're gonna have produce. And that's one of the things that comes with competition. You want your stuff to be better if theirs is newer.
The Dollar General in Millington had just switched over with produce before, right before I left.
They're gonna have a
And
check yourself out lady too.
It just makes it a lot less room in there because they got more shelves and more stuff to stock.
I did see, I think it was in Denmark, but they have a slow lane,
What?
a checkout slow lane for elderly people who are lonely, so they can sit there and just talk to the cashier.
Nice.
And it's been super successful that like 63 other stores have put them in, and then they even added a companion corner where lonely people would go and just talk.
You should put that lottery,
Are you
people are in that same line.
I can totally see that.
I don't think it's a terrible idea, I just don't want to be behind them.
Like your Dr. Phil in there.
We wouldn't be able to do that at our Dollar General because the aisles are always full.
I think it'll be cleaned up.
You know, it's like about Goodwood and Chesaning, that one is a mess. That one's a mess.
Yeah, honestly, we'll make a do something about the it's all
Did we
white.
need a motion to approve the
Which one?
code
Oh.
enforcement report? No?
It's been dragging on way too long.
Oh, yeah, so I said last month, the county's been out here, but,
There gotta be somebody up above that could just go in there and say, enough.
environmental,
Yeah,
has
that's
been
what I'm
out,
saying.
health department, and they can't get them.
What's that?
The county health
Public
department.
comment?
Oh,
Come on out,
Come on down.
come on.
shut up.
My name is Marie Rowe, and I you put your little sign out there that had the Tree City.
Yes.
How come we can't put our school signs out?
School City?
As far
Is
as
there a difference?
the
The
Our
championship.
championship signs?
MDOT took those down years ago and gave them to the schools, and I believe Kelly Cornford is working on getting those back up.
Cool.
Is they? Okay, cause I know we put them under this sign uptown.
Yep.
Because we couldn't put them on the highway, and I see you had your sign out there, I thought maybe now they're letting us do that.
Oh, those, that might have been done willy-nilly if I'm corrected. If I'm not corrected.
Okay.
I think that was a DPW special.
Anybody else? Nothing? Motion to adjourn?
Support.
All those in favor?
Bye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.